But I do know Perry goes to church, and he works for a company in sales. I think he's the director of their sales department, selling bricks to build houses with. He has, I think, 3 or 4 children. All of them are grown. He has some interesting stories to tell. He had a friend that was a doctor that was murdered. Had to do with some type of scam or hit and run, a hitman. Or no, it was somebody that was angry with him. Or it might have been over an affair. Anyway, I can't remember what it was. He told me he couldn't change jobs because he has a record, so... He didn't really like his job, but he's really good at his job, so... I guess we all have the slings and arrows of life that we have to endure. But his ex-wife lives in Broadmoor somewhere. He bought a house, and he let her have it in the divorce. So I guess that was a decent thing for him to do. Of course, you know, I think when you get divorce lawyers involved in divorces that have to do with affairs, that usually if a man has an affair, he gets taken to the cleaners anyway. It's usually the men who have the affairs, not the women. I never screwed around with my husband. My advice to women today would be, do not ever get yourself in a position where you are dependent on your husband for money and your survival. You need to, even if he's paying all the bills, you need to maintain your own credit history, checking account, some type of savings account, an emergency fund that you can have access to in case something does go wrong. And don't put your career on the back burner for that long. I understand. You know, I was lucky enough, well, I wasn't luck, it was just the way things were. You know, Jake was a baby, and I went and got jobs. I worked as temps, you know, did temp jobs. And it was actually more expensive for me to work than it was if I stayed at home with Jake, because we had to pay for child care. We qualified for child care assistance, but we couldn't find any people that would take it. They wanted the daycares we did find that take it wanted us to pay up front until they got the vouchers, and I asked them, well, are you going to give us the money back once you get the vouchers? They said, no, we'll just put it in your account, you know, in case something happens to your vouchers. You know, well, I mean, that's not how it's supposed to work, but that's the scam that is run on parents. Sometimes when they get those vouchers, you know, the daycares get paid twice for it. And, you know, their argument is that they might not get the vouchers for 3 months, and it's costing them money out of pocket to provide daycare for your child for 2 or 3 months before they get the vouchers. But they're the ones that agree to accept the voucher program for daycare. And so those are the conditions. They're supposed to, as soon as you walk in, um, with a letter saying you got the vouchers, they're supposed to take your child immediately. And I went through that here. Even when I got a daycare voucher when Jake and I first moved here, I had to pay up front, and I was paying, I think, $70 a week, just so I could work part-time at a grocery store, and it's very hard on mothers that are poor, that live in poverty, when they have children and don't have transportation. It's hard for them to work and provide child care for their child. They really get into a position where they don't have any support from anyone, and they have, their children also that they can't just leave, at a shelter where they're staying. They really need somebody that will just watch their kids for them. That I think is the biggest hurdle for young mothers that are living in poverty with small children. Their number one obstacle is child care, and their second obstacle is transportation. Because they have to take the bus, leave an hour early. If they have to take their kids to a daycare, they've got to leave 2 hours before they have to be at work, or earlier, and it's 2 hours later before they can go pick up their kids, and they're 2 hours, an hour, whatever. It takes them a long time to get where they need to go. So I think if anybody wanted to do something to really help them, it would be to provide young women with children in shelters and in impoverished situations with transportation and child care. And I think people that could do that would be churches. They would have to be churches, and they would have to be just retired school teachers, retired individuals, that just, if a church decided to do something like that, to open a daycare for impoverished parents, just with a set time period where the parents would agree, that they would accept the free child care in exchange for, 6 months of working, or, they've got to find a job too. So I think if you could make like a 6-month or a year-long commitment to provide that service to that family for free, then it would allow those parents to, work, and the church could probably get a tax write-off for it. And there's a lot of churches, that they, just people there that are retired and looking for ways, that they can contribute to the community and stuff, and that would be my first suggestion. And then you got to get into the regulations of, is this real child care and stuff. So I think if you're going to get in a situation where you've got to worry about whether or not you've got a license to be a daycare provider and stuff, that what you may have to do is just farm the kids out to the homes of the retired individuals and split them up so that you don't have more than, 10? I think the limit is 10 before you've got to be a registered Class A license and inspections and all that kind of stuff. So they may just have to send the kids to the homes of the retired people and provide that service for free. And then, of course, it would be up to the church to screen those individuals and determine, who it was that they wanted to assist, and how they wanted to make that determination. Either that or just open a child daycare center that's fully licensed and certified by the state and is free, and it's some type of contract situation with the parents, where the parents are, provided with child care and transportation to their jobs.